dungeon masters, rats with a dash of sick. I dash like Sonic Mad, not a pacifist, but pacifist to tracks when I'm rapping, kids. We the last of us, the master race. Take him with a master hand, it's cancerous. I hit him with the master sword, and sure I make a nice sword, but I wonder how 4 guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 169 of the Trinity Force podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and I am your host, as with every episode. I'm joined by 3 great guys. Dominic's with us.
How is it going?
It's going good, Dom. How are you doing?
I am well.
That's great. Chiro's with us.
You were not like the host for every episode. There have been just a few where you weren't. Stop lying to the listeners.
I just try to keep it real, okay? I am the front man of this podcast.
There you go. Now you're speaking truth. God, you are such a diva.
Stop it. Chiro's here.
Yes.
DeClaude.
Gentlemen, howdy.
Welcome, DeClaude. Welcome back, everybody. Glad to have everybody on this episode.
Well.
So I'm going to jump right into news really quickly because we have some really exciting information to give out today. So, first of all, I want to talk about the Battle Arena. I was going to say Bronze Boot Camp, but that's coming up very shortly. So, we have been working with Astroedition and Honey Badger to put together more battle arenas for you guys. You guys have been calling out, hey, we want Oceanic, hey, we want US, hey, give us more, we want to play. And so we want you guys to have a way to take what you're learning on this podcast and get better at it. So, to supplement the Tuesday night battle arena, we are now going to do a Bronze Boot Camp, which is Saturdays at noon. And that goes until, I got to close the deck, sorry. That goes until 3 p.m. So noon until 3 p.m. Join the in-game chat channel, T-Force, yes, Eastern time. It's going to be right 3 hours, it starts 3 hours before the LCS starts, if that helps you. So,
okay.
That is going to be only bronze level players are allowed to join that. No Smurfs, please. If we find out you're a Smurf, you will get booted out of it, and we won't let you play. That is going to be, and it's going to be run a little differently than the normal battle arena. They're not going to be quite as harsh as they normally are because they understand what it's like to be a bronze player or what kind of information you are looking for, and you'll get to play other bronze players in that battle arena. So they're going to cast that. That is Honey Badger and Haberdashing are going to be casting those two. Haberdashing is a new member that we brought on this last week, part of the Trinity Force family. So we're very excited to bring him on and have them do that. As well as there's going to be an Oceanic Battle Arena casted by Lee from the OzLOL podcast. Guys, don't forget to go check them out. And Honey Badger, he's going to cast that as well. That is going to be every Tuesday morning at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is 7 p.m. Australian, AWST, whatever the hell that stands for. Australian West Standard Time? I don't know what the hell it means.
I don't know.
So yeah, if you guys are in the Oceanic realm, that will be at 7 p.m. your time, whatever that might be. So guys, same thing. It'll be casted on the T-Force channel. You'll join the in-game chat channel T-Force on the Oceanic realm. 10v10, normal battle arena, not bronze. And we are working toward an EU West battle arena. No date and time yet. Hopefully next week that'll be out. We need a couple more casters that can fill in for that. So if you are looking to get your feet wet with casting, realize this isn't a normal casting gig. This is more of analytical. You're going to be breaking down the plays and talking about how they play better. There's not really any team fights you'll be talking about. You might just break down the team fights after the fact. So it's really a great way for you to use your analytical mind and speak it to the masses. So
battle arenas everywhere.
That's right.
That's awesome.
We work very hard to try to give you guys more opportunities to use what you have learned on this podcast. And we're setting up in the future, so those 3 battle arenas go on, and in the future we're going to have other opportunities for you to play and get better. And we're going to use these as like a stepping stone, where you can play in battle arena, you can play in Bronze Boot Camp, battle arena, another battle arena type that's going to be coming out that's a little different. Prepares you for the VG tournaments, and then you can go play in the VG tournaments, which is every day. And then you can go, eventually you'll be able to win RP through our friends over at Victorious Gaming.
They are our friends.
They absolutely are. And they'll be helping.
And there's a lot of RP to be had every day. So
like 3,200 in RP for the winner, and it goes down to 4th place from there. So that is that. Guys, I'm going to just quickly mention it. Nature Box, you've heard about us talk about it every week. tinyurl.com/TForceNature. Go spend $20, help out the podcast, get to your doorstep a box of snacks every month. Chiro Jaden loves it. He's waiting for his next box, and it's still a month away.
Yeah, I know. It's so depressing.
You should probably start ordering 2 boxes.
Yeah, well, I could spend the $50, but then I'm worried that I'll eat all of them in a week again, and then
So
what I can't stop.
You're on a slow trickle.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well wait it out anyway. But or you know what I could do? I could just order another $20 box and have it here in a week.
Or you can just
That's
go
what
to
I
Whole
was saying.
Foods.
Why didn't you just start getting
Multiple orders.
multiple boxes instead of
Yeah,
all like one?
That's not
instead
a
of
bad
bulk
idea.
buying?
I might do that. I might do.
All right, since I kept this short in the beginning, Dom had some kind of story to tell the listeners and tell us
No,
that
I
may
didn't.
or may
It's
not
it's
be
gonna-
legal.
Yeah, what is that? Let's
It's
put on the
not.
spot.
It's not related to League. Okay, so the ridiculous thing I did so I was at a concert last night, concert in town and everything, and the concert I went to is in fact the ridiculous thing, because it was a Backstreet Boys concert.
Oh, Jesus.
They're still
H.
around?
Christ.
Yeah, 20 years. 20 years they've been going. No, it was a ridiculous amount of fun. Go ahead, lay into me. It was a shit ton of fun. Like, I have a general life philosophy of if given the opportunity to do a ridiculous thing, do that thing. And you guys have made fun of me in the past for going to Kesha and all the other ridiculous concerts that I've been to. They're a blast, man. You got to do it.
So did you roll up your
Adam,
pant leg?
Adam, I'm gonna appeal to your sensibilities here. To give a conservative estimate, there were like 30 women for every one guy there was there.
I can't be mad at it, but
No, you can't be mad at that. I'm just feeling those sensibilities. That's not why I went. I went because it was a ridiculous thing to do, and it ended up being a blast. Incidentally, you could match up like the personalities. We are basically a boy band on the show and everything. You've got Diva Adam, you've got funny guy to Claude, you got quiet, and then all of a sudden just crazy guy Chira, and then you've got me as like the serious guy who wishes he wasn't the serious guy.
You did not
Guys,
just call us a
I got a
boy
list
band.
I just called
songs.
I just called
Start singing
the Trinity Force podcast a boy band.
So wait,
Yes,
did you?
yes, you did.
did
and
you
then
go there-
Wrecker would be the bad boy.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, you're
God.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Yeah, it'd be five. of
Or
us,
the
that's
one that
perfect.
never shows up.
Okay, so I have to
AKA
ask
the
you. I have to
bad
ask you if you dressed. Did you roll up one pant leg, cut off your sleeves, and maybe put like a bandana on and go there? Maybe have your
I wanted to do all of those things. I did not have time to do that. I literally got from work, threw all my shit into my room and let my roommate's dogs out because that was part of the agreement here. And then I had to turn around and get
Wait,
to the
who let
bar.
the dogs out?
What a throwback!
First, it's 40 episodes earlier that you guys didn't hear, and now it's back to 2003, 2001.
Do you have a Backstreet Boys T-shirt? Did you get any swag from that concert? No. Aw,
That's not really my thing.
Yeah, I am
That's a good
calling this
reason to go.
episode T-Sync.
T-Sig. Yep.
All right.
The new
terrifying.
force on the block.
The new force on the block. That's even a better title. Someone write that down so I don't forget it.
Get our leg warmers and headbands and
People
make a
are,
music
people are over
video.
here. Justin Timbersync,
Oh, yeah.
T-Sync, T-Direction.
People are calling this to be my last episode and everything. I mean, I can't say I blame them, but oh man, it was a lot of fun. Like, I didn't think it was going to be as much fun as it ended up being.
See, Dom was the smartest guy in high school. He was a cheerleader, and he went to all the camps. You know, he knew what was up.
Trinity kids on the block.
I wish I was a band guy. Played drums.
Okay.
Any chicks there?
No.
No.
And you had to wear like I had to do marching band and everything, and you wear basically the birth control outfit there. You're not getting laid in that.
Control outfit. The BCO.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dom, I'm ashamed
you
to
for
call
the
you my
story.
friend, but
I
I'm
don't know
not
what you're
really
talking
because
about.
that
I'm
was
proud of him.
hilarious. I'm proud
Great.
of him.
He's manning up and doing things that are questionable. Why not? That's cool.
What the hell? I
I mean,
I'm not
I have no
regret
problem with
this.
that.
It was a great time. I have zero regrets about it and everything. Like it was funny.
Here's the thing with that. If I was living next to or with Dom, he would 100% find a way to drag me along to that because all you'd have to say is there's beer and women. And I'd go, well, can't turn that down.
You would be going to all of these things. Like, you would be doing all the ridiculous stuff that I'm doing. And part of it's just because after the first time you went and had a blast, you'd be like, I'm just going to trust him. He knows. Yeah, it sounds like a terrible idea, but let's see how this plays out.
Adam, don't let Adam fool you. He saw his first boobs at a New Kids on the Block concert.
No, I didn't see my first. I told that story about my friend saw his first pair of boobs at a Monomarth concert.
Yep, I'm on Marth, yeah.
That's where I want to go to see boobs. Big fat man in a mosh pit. So
You'll see Johan's boobs all the time.
Okay, let's move on to league and listener questions and stuff. We spent
Told you that was going to take a while. Told you.
10 minutes of the podcast. We're already
That was
breaking the
enjoyable,
rule
though.
of...
Thank you, Dom.
Yeah.
How'd you guys enjoy
I
it?
have nothing to say about that. That is the problem here. Like,
I really thought you would have a field day with this, and you guys were just going to lay into me.
I
don't have a problem with it. I wouldn't
Chair.
go to one myself
Thank you,
per
Chair.
say.
It's a good
Okay.
time.
Listener questions. That's what we're doing on this episode, guys. We talked
Mailbag.
last episode about patch 4.10 itemization. There are more patch 4.10 notes that have come out, but we are going to save those for episode 170 or 171. Since we do 2 episodes a week, we wanted to spend the second episode trying to get through the ridiculous amount of questions that you've all sent in. So if you guys want to send in more questions, feedback at trinityforcepodcast.com. So, excuse me. We're going to start with Red Medusa. He writes in, are there any champion builds, lane picks, or play strategies that you think are considered rude or exceptionally trollish to run based on some inherent kit imbalance or lack of counterplay?
Well, obvious ones. There's trollish builds based on the champion, obviously. Champions ratios, if it makes no sense to augment those ratios, then the items are probably a bad idea.
Or just champions in general.
AP
Like a lot of people.
Renekton, 1.0 ratio on that alt.
Right.
People
There you
would
go.
get upset if you're picking Scion to go in lane or something like that.
jungle.
Yeah, or jungle. Not that I ever do that all the time.
I mean, I don't know. Not. I mean, like in ranked, I guess it's you don't want to see really outside the. I mean, you don't want to see AP Renekton or anything like that. But in normals, I'm just kind of like, whatever.
Right.
So I lost a normal game. Big fucking deal. I'll move on with my life and play a new game. You know.
Well, and we've talked about like some of these non-traditional picks like Fiora and other stuff. A lot of people will get upset if somebody goes to pick that, but it's one of those things where if somebody's going to pick something like that, for the most part, I don't care if it's in ranked because they're probably picking it for a reason. That being said, I have ran into those people that are like, I'm playing Mordekaiser, and then proceed to feed 12 times in 7 minutes. And you're pissed off.
I mean, but that's not really on the champion or anything.
No, it's
you know,
not.
that's on the player.
No, the
guess
one
the
that I have
trollish-
problem with the most in the trollish is like an 80 carry that isn't a normal 80 carry in ranked, or a support that isn't a normal support in ranked. I'm talking like Lee Sin support, because you're not on the same wavelength usually as
Right.
your partner. If you're going to go into ranked and start playing 80 Ari because you saw the LCS run it once and it worked well, I'm not going to think you're going to know what you're doing. I'm going to think in a one-on-one matchup in a solo lane, you're going to do better. Even some jungle picks to an extent. If you're going to pick Jungle Swain, I feel like you're incredibly rude.
Jungle Karthus, people like
Well,
You're
that.
just gonna name all the
You know what?
champions that Wrecker plays.
You know what's even worse than this is when somebody doesn't pick a jungler. If they go, I'm 2 top. That's kind of trollish. You know, you're like, well, I picked this champion at top and I know what I'm doing, and now you're going to be tagging along, stealing my XP and CS. That's trollish right there. So that's a trollish lane pick, I would say. Not jungling, going double top, 1 mid, double bot.
Wow, are there ways around this?
I think it's bad manners to. I think it's bad manners and trollish to say I am doing this, and you give your team no other choice than to deal with you. But if
Right.
you have a conversation with the team and Chad's like, look, I've tried this. It's been reasonably successful. I think this is an opportunity for us to punish their top laner by running a 2v1 and then still having a normal duo lane. And the team is on board with it, then that's a different story. But if you're going to do that type of thing, you do need to have the conversation. And you got to be amenable if they are like, no, fuck you, that's a terrible idea. Because, yeah, while you don't get your way, I mean, like, you have the ability to negatively impact at minimum 4 other people. And that's just being too selfish of a player. Does that make sense?
You're tilting your teammates before you even get into the game.
Yeah.
Right. And champ select, you're tilting them. So it's like, nope, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing what I want. F you guys.
There is a level of selfishness that you can get away
That's
with
trollish.
when you're playing solo queue. I would say that if you're going to play something crazy, do it in a solo lane, but have experience playing it before you jump in there. People have wrote in before and said, we like to play Annie Brand or whatever it is, bottom. I don't remember what that combo was. The person
Right.
wrote in, and we said, try it, see how it works out for you. Practice it normals and then take it in the solo queue. But don't be mad when your team lashes back at you for picking that and not picking AD carry. Especially in bronze and silver, I've noticed a lot of people have to stick with the meta. And then as soon as you start getting into the higher elos, especially up at like challenger and diamond level, people just don't care anymore because they know their skill level is high enough that they can play anything. So,
Right. Well, there's a different level of comfortability with a lot of those players too, and they figure at for the most part, a lot of the people in challenger, they're already at the top, and it's not like they have anywhere else to go. They might as well have some fun with it because they've been playing this game forever.
Well, and on the other side of the ancient coin, if you are the one who sees something out of the ordinary, don't sit there berating and just even it's telling them, look, oh, we lose, troll, FF at 20, blah, blah, blah. It's happening. They're locking
behind
in.
your machine.
Exactly. Do it. Exactly, Dom. Give them a slow blink from behind your machine and play your best, and who knows, maybe it'll surprise you.
Ignore everybody and continue to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep playing and see what you can do.
Right.
But, don't expect victory because they've got that whatever, Urgot jungle, which I play all the time.
All right.
And it works.
On to the next question, I suppose. I think we answered your question quite well, Rad Medusa. Daniel writes, as a jungler, what do you do if mid keeps getting dove and dying? Do you abandon and ignore that person and help the other lanes because you know it's lost? It's hard to help when someone can't do a thing against his or her opponent. The problem is I constantly get blamed when this happens, so I'm looking for some insight.
JJ.
The last part of this question kills me just because if somebody's getting dove, things had to have, for the most part, unless the jungler is just camping the crap out of that lane and they're playing a champion like Zed who can get in and get out real quick, or LeBlanc who can get in and get out by just bursting somebody and leaving. For the most part, if somebody's getting dove and dying, or if you're getting dove and dying over and over again, you probably did something really wrong.
I mean, that could even just be failing to understand the matchup and the power spikes of the opponent. And we're talking about the mid laner here. So if your mid laner keeps getting dove and dies for it and everything, it's because he or she doesn't understand the matchup. That's not really anything the jungler can do at that point. Like if everything had been going normal and then all of a sudden diving starts happening, that's out of the jungler's control. You can't do anything.
And as the jungler, you're kind of there to like band-aid certain things on the map, or at least that's what the perception of your role is. If that's going to keep happening to them, it might be worth sticking around. If like they're going really deep and the enemy team's exit strategy is dive in, leave like through the brush towards your wraiths or something like that, being in between your two turrets and mid. It wouldn't be a bad idea to just kind of sit in that area if you know they're going to get dove.
Use them as bait.
Exactly. You know what? Use them as bait. Pick up a blue buff if their mid laner has a blue buff. You can get another buff for free. Might even be able to pick up a double kill if they're going really, really far in. Just being around sometimes can be enough of a deterrent to keep enemy laners from trying that dive. If they see you in the area and all of a sudden you disappear and they don't know where you're at and they don't have your jungle warded to know where you went, they are less likely to probably go in and murder somebody if they think you might be around to come and clean up. That being said, if that's going to keep happening and there's nothing you can honestly do about it, you just need to go focus on other lanes and try and keep your middle turret up as long as possible, because once your middle turret falls, it's going to make it so much easier for the enemy team to get around the map, get through your jungle, and instead of being just a pain in the ass towards your mid laner, they're going to start impacting your play in the game just due to the fact they're going to have more presence in the area that you're going to frequent.
If you want to just speak pragmatically, it almost makes more sense to just focus your effort, like as a jungler, it makes more sense to focus your effort on lanes that might be able to have a meaningful impact on the game rather than trying to stifle the bleeding and hanging your other lanes out to dry.
Yep.
Here's
because if that jungler's diving, he's there in the mid lane, spending his time there, so you can probably more successfully gank top or bottom.
Well, and here's the thing: I'd say more often than not, you should be ganking bottom at that point, just because. Sure, you have two people in the enemy team that are spending a whole lot of time trying to shut down one person. If you're the jungler, you may want to go spend a lot of time trying to pick up two people so you can kind of offset that.
Well, here's my problem with all of this is that there are times where it is the jungler's fault, and the jungler is to blame. For example, if you are in the top lane, and this does go for the mid lane quite a bit, you have a successful gank, but your laner has died, but you don't understand wave manipulation, and you push the wave away from the turret, and suddenly that big wave piles up, and it's early enough in the game that laner is going to be back within 30 seconds or 45 seconds a lane. You have given that enemy more than you took away from him because you just gave him a giant wave to level up.
You borderline gave him a level up.
And if during that battle you happen to push the lane, AoE abilities or whatever, towards the turret, don't let the enemy minions come up and settle and stop them before they reach that turret. Push them real quick, get them into the turret so that it counters back in the other direction.
There are ways to screw over your laners.
Like Adam's saying, you got to know the minion got to know how to manipulate the waves of minions. So sometimes you have to push it to the turret if it's just barely outside of it to get them killed before they come back to lane.
And the same thing goes in the opposite. Whereas if you get a kill and your laner dies and their laner dies, and the lane is quickly pushing towards your side, you can kind of even out the lane a little bit too, to have a minion pool ready for your laner when they get back.
Having them slaughtered by your turret. Yeah?
Right.
Yeah, I know you guys probably watch Trick, and Trick is going to take everything and fuck his laner, so that's because he's really good at running around and using the power that he is gaining from taking those minions.
And the thing about Trick too, it's not like he's not going to be back.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, he's not going to leave you out to dry.
Yeah, he's going to go murder people.
I want to back up to the point Cheer was saying about ganking bot. If you're the jungler and your mid laner is the one suffering, if you gank bot and you guys can get that turret down, that suddenly frees up your duo lane to go to a different part of the map. Whether that's I mean, that could be top, but in all likelihood, they're just going to turn and head straight towards mid to drive that down, because for the other point he made, that opens up the map for your team. And that's kind of your alternative here, is just create the pressure somewhere else and get that objective. So now you have a team focusing on mid instead of a duel going on with occasional jungler influence.
Well, and here's the other thing too. Say you do get a double kill on bot lane as the jungler, and you're helping out your AD carry and support. I would pick that to go in and kill a dragon over the enemy mid laner and jungler if you guys are just as healthy as they are. I'd pick 3 people over 2 in a fight any day.
But if we're focusing,
especially a jungler and a support.
Yeah, if your mid laner is on his way back, he can just meet you at dragon, and there's an immediate 4v2.
But okay, here's the thing. We're talking about overall. The whole point of this question was the enemy mid laner is up 3-0 and diving me the entire time. What do I do? And we're saying either gank top or bot. That's fine. But
it's diving your mid laner. What do I do as a jungler?
Right. But as a jungler, you also have to realize that mid laner can die at any point. So if you've ganked bot, got a double kill, or you've ganked top, the only thing that you can get out of those is towers. You're not going to get a dragon, because that mid laner is going to roam down to that dragon very quickly. And it's going to be more powerful than you. At that point in time that you have transitioned into the dragon, she's going to be more powerful than you, because you have not been able to go back and spend your gold.
Well, you're also saying that their mid laner did have time to go back and spend their gold, and I don't know how many times. I mean,
that assumes the mid laner didn't even take damage. Drove and killed your teammate. And then is transitioning and took 0 damage in the process, and took
0 damage.
That mid laner then doesn't have an ult.
That's
fine.
Has
summoners left.
Let me get this out real quick, because I think the way I read this question, and from my experience, he's talking about that mid laner has gone back after that early kill or 2 and is still continuing to dive and taking no damage. I have definitely been in that situation where somebody's able to completely dive you and walk out only taking 1 tower shot, like a LeBlanc, is how much damage they're doing.
Right.
I am assuming worst case scenario in these questions.
There are
then I would say go for the turrets.
I mean,
we've
outlined a lot of different things that you can do in this case. You can take bot and then roll mid, take bot, regroup, and then roll mid or top, take bot and roll the dragon, everything.
Just
take
don't
top,
overextend yourself, because you realize how powerful they are.
It's a bad situation. They are going to be more powerful, and it's going to be a challenge to try to beat it, because they have someone more fed than you. Their jungler's probably getting assists. They probably have more items than you now at this point. So you are starting to fight uphill. You're going to be on your heels a little bit. So there's no right answer here if your team isn't working with you. You have to work with bot to get that kill if you can, and then go for the tower.
I mean, the good
if they
news
can roll
is
with you mid, it's even better.
we're in a meta where top lane and bot lane are both very capable of carrying, so it's not like you have to throw all of your eggs just into bot lane because that the marksman's the only one capable of carrying. If top lane has the better carry champion, or that's a pretty favorable matchup going on or whatever, like just go focus on that and get that person fed as fuck so that he or she is in the team fights doing what needs to be done instead of trying to draw out the laning phase. Basically, you want to end it as quickly as you can in that situation.
As a skilled
They're dominating
jungler, we said this last week, you need to have that macro sense of the gameplay. So understanding that your mid is being dove, now you realize that the enemy jungler, more than likely, unless the jungler is helping that mid lane out a lot to get those kills, that jungler is not going to be coming mid. So you need to have that broader sense of where that enemy jungler is going to be at. Now, since the jungler has his mid rolling, is he going to do the same thing as you in camp bot? Is he going to try to counter jungle you? You need to look at what the jungler is, what that jungler is capable of. Nocturne, Udyr, both of those can counter jungle fairly well. Kha'Zix can now get in there and counter jungle pretty well. What are those enemy junglers going to do now that their mid lane is rolling? If you have that overall macro sense, you can make your decisions based off of that and what lane you're going to gank and when you're going to be able to take dragon or even try to counter gank mid when they dive. I think that is something that you really need to, that will help you step up to that next level of play and become a more experienced player by understanding what the enemy is capable of doing even when that jungler is not fed.
And here's the other piece of this. If somebody's constantly blaming you for it or your mid laner is blaming you for it, just mute them.
Yeah. Tell them, look, just stay by your turret, clear minions if you can. If you get dove, try to do as much damage as possible, whatever. But, we're going to try to make things happen over here because mid's a loss.
Yep.
As a jungler, you're going in, you have a weaker teammate against their fed mid. He's probably going to kick both your asses. So,
or their jungler's around with assists and they're going to kick both of your asses.
Right. And then it's a 2v,
1.5.
I guess for all intents and purposes, 2v1.5. Exactly. So, I think the best course of action is to try to snowball the other lanes. That's pretty much the answer right there. Work on the other lanes, and if they're raging at you, mute them, just like we always say. And we've mentioned it in the past. You want to help the lanes that have a chance. You want to help the lanes that are winning so they can snowball and win even harder.
I'm sorry that you're losing. If I didn't push the lane, it's not my fault. My job as a jungler is not to make you win your lane ever.
No,
almost never. Like 98% of the time, my job is not to make you win that lane.
And don't give him blue buff because he's going to give it up, obviously.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Tell him, sorry, dude.
I love how we had like 3 plat players in a game the other day, and we had to explain that to like a low silver player.
Oh, what? It's not my job to
yeah,
camp you?
Days, like somebody got really upset. I don't remember what I was playing. I was probably jungling, and Days is like, it's not his job to win your lane for you.
I remember that game. Yeah.
Not
Not me. I just call you. I just say you're fucking terrible. Mute and hope I don't get reported.
Yep.
Hopefully that answers your question, Daniel. But it's a hard situation to be in. It sucks to be in that situation, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. So
in
just
that
do your best.
situation, realistically, you are losing the game at that point, and that's not a situation anyone wants to be in. And
yeah,
these are the ways you can go about trying to turn an early deficit into mid-game parity and a late-game advantage.
There are scenarios that are unwinnable. There are absolutely scenarios that you cannot win, but you can win later in the game.
There you go. Thank you. I agree with what Dom was saying before, where the laning phase is one for them, and they're going to want to drag it out. So end it as fast as you humanly possible. Bring it to the mid game and see what you can do there. So.
Okay. Well,
sounds good.
Hopefully, Daniel, that answers your question. On to, is this Rosias? Is that how it's said?
Yeah. That's how I pronounce it.
Yeah.
Okay. Rosias writes in, I've been grinding solo queue for so long that I forgot how to play as a team. Now my friend wants me to be top lane in a ranked team, but I have a hard time looking at them as anything other than randoms. On top of that, I've played nothing but full AP Tristana for some time now, and my mechanics have suffered. I've played plenty of practice games with the team, and I don't feel like I'm getting any better at all. How can I reteach myself how to play this game?
I mean, the basics of it is just play.
Yeah,
It's get a dedicated shot caller on your team. Understand what your role is at a top lane. You need to look at okay, first of all, let's go back. Let's look at your play style. You're playing full AP Tristana. So more
No,
than
no,
likely-
no. So, okay, I want to clarify. His friends want him to play top lane, and I don't think they want him to play weird stuff or whatever. I think
No,
he
no,
has
no,
been
no, I get
playing
that.
AP Tristana, but he's saying he's willing to amend his play style.
I get that.
Okay.
For example, he
interrupted
forgot
And-
how to CS properly because
Right.
as AP Tristana, or he would go in an all-in on
No,
something
I get that.
where
I get
Tristana
that. We
would
can
get
move
killed,
on
but
to
he
this
can't,
point.
so.
Then you
Yeah.
completely interrupted my point. Sorry that I got a little annoyed there because I was going somewhere with that.
Sorry.
I
No, I
couldn't
get
see
that.
the light at the end of your tunnel.
Yeah. So what I was going to say, you've been playing AP Tristana, and so that says to me that you want to play aggressive. You like to play somebody that at level 6 is going to blow them up. Maybe beforehand you're going to be able to do so. You're not used to lane manipulation per se, because if you take Buster Shot, you're going to. No, is that Buster Shot? Is he her E or incendiary
alt is-
shot?
Incendiary shots are E.
I'll look
Buster
it up.
Shots are alt. Buster
What
shots
was
are alt.
Buster Shot?
Yeah, Buster Shots are all. But you're used to pushing the wave. You're used to playing aggressive. So you need to find a champion that plays in that same way. I would say transitioning into someone like a Jace would not be bad. While he takes a little bit more skill, he kind of does the same thing where he'll push a wave or he'll be able to be very aggressive. But you also want, if you want to
Honestly-
move that into a tank character, which you should be playing out of the top lane, or a bruiser, I should say, Renekton. You need to.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You need to walk up, you need to grab Renekton, you need to understand how to play him by looking up guides, listening to us talk about it, looking up battle arenas, playing in them, and play that champion and now understand your role. As Renekton, your role is to shut that top laner down. It's not by shutting him down, you're winning your lane. If you are even up 10 CS, you're winning your lane. If you have an even CS, you're not winning your lane as Renekton. So you just have
But
to
you're not
play.
losing.
But you're not losing, exactly. And to play top lane effectively, you have to understand what your role for the team is. If you're playing Mundo, your role isn't to win the lane. Your role is to make sure the tower doesn't go down by 10 minutes and to teleport into a team fight and have a very fantastic team fight that turns the game around. And that's where a dedicated shot caller comes in here. Now you should be running teleport, and you should be paying more attention, again, to the macro game as much as you are playing with the micro game, because you can teleport at any time and turn around and be that aggressive player that you sound like you want to be. So figure out what you want to play in the top lane, figure out what favors the meta and what most favors your play style, and learn how to play that champion in a one-on-one scenario. And as you learn to play that top lane, you can now start talking to your team and get that dedicated shot caller, even if it's you, to transition into a more team-oriented mindset.
I think Adam hit the nail on the head because the dedicated shot caller is where it's going to be. If anybody can follow orders, especially if you feel uncomfortable in the team setting, you're used to solo queue and everyone's a random, blah, blah, blah. If you have a shot caller in your ear, in Skype, TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, whatever you're using, telling you, hey, you come here, just make sure you follow the shot caller. Don't say, well, let me just get these couple last hits on this cannon minion before I go. No, teleport right then and there if he pings it and tells you. Follow the shot caller if you can trust the shot caller, and then at least the blame's on him. Instead of everyone saying you're to blame because you're thinking they're all randoms, you can transition out of that. The good news is top lane is kind of an island for the most part, so you can kind of concentrate on your micro a little bit more. And if the shot caller says teleport here, it's a quick glance on the minimap, hitting your F or D, whichever one you have it on, and clicking on that ward. So Adam makes a good point about the macro, but you don't really have to. If you have a good shot caller, then you don't have to worry about that. He'll do it for you. So that should make it easier. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Renekton is a good choice for bully. I like the Jace idea for comparison to Trist, just because he's beast right now, and he can suddenly just flip a switch and jump on you like AP Tristan can. So.
The only thing I can really add is just you got to do some practice games on your own and everything. Like go and get a feel for the champions that you intend to play with this ranked group. Whether that's going into bot games and just practicing last hitting to get a feel for auto attack animations and overall abilities, or just doing solo queue games with those champions in mind instead of your AP Tristana. If you want to do this, you gotta sort of commit the time outside of team practice in order to actually be at the same level as everyone else you're playing with.
I don't know your personality, Rosias. If you are a person who likes to take control, you might have to be that person who suddenly starts looking into team compositions and how to play a basic rank 5s team. You might have to be that person that takes that shot calling position. If you're not, you have to have that conversation with your team, and you have to learn to do the pick and ban phase, which is something that we struggled quite a bit with within a ranked team.
honestly, all those things can be really invigorating as a player. Like, it can really get you enthusiastic about playing the game again. If you start being the shot caller for your team, because, you know, that's what's needed for your team to be successful, you might find, hey, you're actually pretty good at it, and you can transition that skill to your solo queue games, and those might help you improve, and you'll go in with, like, a little bit better attitude for your random teammates than you have, you know, currently.
That's pretty much it at this point. So hopefully that works for Sias. I know that email was probably a little old, but if you had any changes or if any of this information helps you, and I'm going to say the same thing anybody's wrote in to us, let us know by writing back in. We want to know that our opinions are validated. Or
sure it's
not.
pronounced Rosias? Because maybe it's Rosy ass. He sounds like he's been getting spanked. These bastards.
Oh my God.
All right. Blues Fiddler writes in. So did he do that? Or did
He did that. He did that. Okay. I wouldn't have. I would have said Bluz Fiddler or whatever.
Good on him though that he knows we were gonna fuck that up if he didn't help
Yes.
us.
I think he's written in the past. That name looks familiar, and we butchered it the first time. So.
Oh man. Okay, we got to do this real quick because Justin Twitch chat came a message. Shout out to the Trinity Force podcast. This is Manly Granny. I wrote a question to you guys about cutting the umbilical cord off for my friend. He's now demoted from gold 4 to silver 4, and I've evolved into a level 5 platinum player. Thank you guys so much for your advice.
Nice.
Boom.
Yay, we did something wonderful.
You're right. I love
Bad
it.
news about your friend, though.
Good news about making it a plat 5. That's what I really like to hear. Cutting that cord.
Yeah, definitely.
Congratulations.
That's what I did with Chira. That's why I'm plat 3. He's not.
What the fuck?
Oh, get fucked.
Fucking, I'm gold 1 when you're gold 3, and then I have to deal with this shit. Fuck you.
Hey, I hit plat before you, Adam. I win.
By
I win the
hours.
event.
It's hilarious. Blues Fiddler writes.
And sorry, it's a handy has a handicap. Get fucked.
Okay, Blues Fiddler. So it seems to me that gold wins games, period. Is that always true, or is it just the way that it is in silver? Are there any tips on figuring who has gold lead when CS is close? In solo queue, gold lead does not always mean you're going to win the game. Actually, in every point. If you looked at, for example, CLG versus Dignitas, CLG didn't even have the gold lead in that game because of CS and Barons and whatnot, even though they had tower lead. Eventually, they overcame it. And there's a better example. C9 versus CLG. C9 was down by 3,000 gold when they won the game.
And they were like, after the game, they were like, "Yeah, we never actually realized that the gold gap was that far. We always thought it was a pretty close game." And like that's why they were playing as no, I don't want it like calculated aggressively as they were. Like you hesitate to ever accuse them of just being outright aggressive or totally reckless, but like they were. It seemed like they had no regard for the gold deficit that they were facing, and it turned out just because they weren't aware it was there.
They're playing as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to figure out if the gold lead?
Solo queue.
The way I look at it, like if you're in a lane, the way I look at it, like in bottom lane, if I'm playing nobody with some kind of extra gold generating item or passive, which is the only person there is Ashe or Draven, who have can get extra gold from killing minions or getting kills. It's looking at your CS total. About 13 CS is 1 kill, so that's about 300 gold, ish. Depending on what minions you've killed. So if you're looking at bottom lane, you're 13 gold behind or 13 minions behind, no one's gotten a kill yet, you can assume you're about 300 gold behind at that point. And that shouldn't change the way you're playing unless the person is obviously up at item because they went back before you. But as you go on ahead, it sounds so simple, but just looking at the kill, okay, they have 1 kill, they have a Vamp Scepter, and I'm sitting on 2 Dorans. It's going to be very hard for me to trade unless we get a really awesome hook or engage or my jungler comes down.
Or you can trade hard enough where they can't auto attack the sustain back up just because you can zone them. To be honest, for a solo queue setting, I would say don't worry about trying to calculate gold too much because, I mean, you're saying that this is how things are in silver. If you're spending so much time trying to figure out how much gold they're up or you're up compared to them, you're not spending as much time actually thinking about beating them in lane.
If you're worried about a certain decision on whether to engage on a certain enemy or not, just hit tab and look at their items.
I mean, you're right when you say gold wins games because the majority of the games played, the winning team has more gold. But what you need to be worrying about isn't really the gold disparity, and it's how that gold disparity came to be.
And what that extra gold was used for.
I mean, like, do they have a perceived gold lead because one lane fed? Well, okay, then you know where the problem is, and we go back to the question we talked about earlier. Do they have a perceived gold lead because they got the only 2 dragons of the game, and otherwise everything is even? That is, like, yeah, it's a lot of gold for them, but because it's spread out across everybody, it only helps everybody on their team a little bit.
And
not one person immensely.
The 140 gold isn't as much as it would be in a pro game. Like, 140 gold isn't make or break like it can be in a pro game, because that pro game, it could be that difference between that item that actually makes it big difference because of the mechanics of the player.
I wouldn't try to figure, like, I really wouldn't spend much time at all trying to figure out how close the gold is in any game, and instead just try to figure out where, if they've taken more objectives than you. I think that's important to know. And that's really simple. Look at the map, how many towers are standing for your team, how many towers are standing for theirs. Boom, you've got that done. And then just taking your best estimate to know whether or not they've taken one or multiple dragons more than your team and or Baron. And that's going to give you a sense for how much global gold is on the team, and that can really determine the level advantage that they have. Otherwise, there's probably just one problem area on the map, whether one lane fed or just one lane never got any kind of a foothold to do anything.
And don't focus on the past while you're in the game. While you're in the game, look at the present. Look at the current items of the enemies you're facing. Look at where they're at. Your tower situation, the lane push. Don't worry about, how did it get to this point? And definitely don't type it to your teammates. Say, because bot fed so much, they have a gold lead. Or, we lost two dragons in the past because support didn't award it. Whatever the case may be, save that for after the game. You can then reflect on it and look, okay, they had a gold lead because this happened. Maybe I could have contributed by, as a jungler, buying a ward and throwing it on Dragon Pit, or whatever it might be.
And touching
but
on
not
that
during
point,
the game.
Yeah, like that's a really important thing, because I think there are a lot of players out there who probably would say something just very matter of factly, like
right.
Like, my personality tends to just be like, I will matter of factly say this happened, so that's why we're losing bot lane and everything, and I'll do that in voice chat. In text, that comes off very passive aggressive, or just comes out like as an outright asshole thing when that person probably wasn't intending to come off as such. But you have to acknowledge that there are limitations to chat or to text chat, and there are, like, people are going to misinterpret things, and you can, like, really just say one thing that'll set everybody else off because they did not get the inflection to your voice.
And if it's about what happened in the past, it's not going to help you at all in the game. Just if you want to say something constructive, make it, okay, let's do this now, or it's coming up in 5 minutes, let's be here, instead of, they took it.
It's like arguing with your significant other. Don't bring up the fact that they, broke a dish 6 months ago, unless it's applicable to the argument that you're having now, because it's not going to help anything.
Because 2 more dishes have been broken in the same time, and now you don't have a full set for the party or some shit.
Right.
Just take the blame for everything if we're going to go into relationship advice.
Are we qualified to do that on this show?
Well, we did tell him to cut the umbilical cord, so.
And
that's true. We did ruin one relationship.
One's in the bin right now.
Hey, we're terrible.
It's okay, dude. He got plat.
Sean, I just want to say that I like that look for you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I do. It's kind of Wolfmanish.
Yeah.
I like it.
I look like a way bigger hipster than I usually do.
Do you have PBR on your desk?
I don't. I'm trying to go for that edgy, glasses facial.
He doesn't drink PBR anymore. Everybody drinks PBR. Now he drinks hams.
I wouldn't spend the money on that piss.
It doesn't cost any money. That's why the hipsters drink it.
Oh, hi, puppy. Okay. LXT writes in.
I love it.
I'm sorry. I wish I could show you guys what's going on next door. I am 100% convinced that my neighbors are dealing drugs. I've seen 6 different people walk up that driveway and back down.
Dude, you don't say that shit on, because if they're fans of the show and they know where you live, they're gonna show up and
That's fine.
end you.
Solicit you.
That's fine. Let him show up. I have a tendency.
Like, wait a
LXD writes, I have a tendency to get carried rather than carry my team, even in solo queue. I win much, much more than I lose, but it's never obviously due to my own astonishing skill. My friends keep criticizing me for being insanely lucky rather than deserving any rank that I have. They don't really understand that it takes a certain form of skill to enable your team to carry you. Is this a bad habit of mine, or is it perfectly fine to try and create idle circumstances for my team to carry me rather than carry everything myself?
I love this email. I
Right.
love it. Luck is a skill, man. Luck
Can
is
we
a
touch
skill.
on this?
Ride the carry
how to be
train
carried?
all the way into plat.
Oh,
Do what you gotta do.
Here's the
No,
thing,
this is
Alex.
basically, this reader's basically just saying, I figured out how to be carry is how to get carried. Is that so bad that I just do that every game now? And I'm like, no.
Here's what I think,
I wish there
LXT.
were more people like this.
I don't think it is okay. It is not a problem that you've learned how to get carried. I will give you an example. My brother, he went 4-6 in his placement matches, got placed in silver 5, and like
Luke,
I think
good job.
yeah, he got carried out of 3 out of those 4 wins.
Good on him.
I looked at
Dude,
those.
I have a buddy who placed into gold long ago, and I looked at his match history, and he had like 1 kill and 8 deaths in every single game. I'm like, yeah, he got fucking carried by somebody.
Hey, as long as you know how to get carried, it sounds like you have the formula for it, so it
Yeah,
keeps
just
working.
fucking
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're,
okay.
They're just hating. They're just jealous.
Yeah, they're jealous of your mad getting carried skills.
To
They
turn
are,
this
yep.
on its head a little bit, it is kind of bad that you've learned how to get carried because it means you're not performing at the level that you should be performing at, and that potentially means that if you've
Killjoy
learned how
Adam.
to not die and let other people carry you, that's great. But you can always perform better. So if you're happy to gain elo by getting carried, more power to you. But as a gamer and as somebody who likes to break down this game and get better at it, I feel like you should look into why you're getting carried and what you're doing for that and try to fix the areas that you're bad in. So potentially you could be the person who's carrying, and then you could feel even better about yourself when you've made it to Diamond because you've carried.
Honestly, I say if you're having fun playing the game and you're winning games and other people are doing the work for you and everything, just ride it until it starts to fail for you more
Yeah.
often than it succeeds.
And
Someone-
maybe you are carrying and you don't realize it. Maybe you're the support and you're just doing so much for your marksman that you're pretty much the one carrying the game. You're enabling him to succeed so well. So it's not really that you're getting carried, it's that you're the one doing it. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. You didn't mention anything about your deaths and blah, blah, blah. So that could be the case as well. So recognize that whatever you're doing is working, and look at the good. But if you're going 1-11-0 every match, then yes, luck is definitely on your
It's
side.
funny because I would even consider like some situations. I have this theory that every time I go up against a Riven, all I need to do is just sit back at my turret and never die, and we'll be fine.
Yep.
Because she'll never kill me, so she'll never snowball. Like I'm just, and I consider that, I'm not carrying my team, but I'm letting them carry me by not letting the enemy team snowball out of control. So
Yeah, you
if
pretty
it's a
much have a point.
situation like that, yeah, I mean, you're not doing anything wrong, and if your buddies are giving you shit for it, fuck them.
Yeah. And you know what?
They're just
You know what,
they're
Alex?
fucking hating. They're jelly.
LXT, these are your words. You said, is it perfectly fine to try and create ideal circumstances for my team to carry me rather than carry everything myself?
That is carrying yourself, my friend.
That's pretty much carrying. Yeah, you're
right.
playing right. You're playing whatever role it
Okay.
I mean,
is.
Instead of-
carrying is not like who has the highest number of kills and
Exactly,
assists
yeah.
at the end of the game. Carrying is having the most influence on the victory for your team.
Look at it like
Well-
this. You may not be like the lead guitarist shredding, but you're directing the orchestra.
So you're the bass player.
Yeah,
Bring
exactly.
everything
It's helping-
together.
it's helping hold
You're
the team.
Yorick and Pentakill. You've got that bass beat in the background holding everything together. You take it out and it sounds like shit. So
Your
just
team would be
keep holding that
great.
beat.
But they wouldn't be the same without you.
Oh,
I do want to say that as a support, if anybody ever tries to call you as a support and they're like, "Oh, 1-7," and then all you have to do is just look at my assists, and that's it. That's all I gotta say. Let them.
If you have more assists than you have deaths, you're doing all right.
How many times as a support player have I had just run, I got you. Don't worry, I'm gonna die. There's like 3 guys pounding on you. Your hands up in the air as you're getting drugged down into the pit. Run, little 80 carry.
that was even. I mean, that was you and me the other day. It's like, run, Adam, get out of there, Adam, I got him.
Every
they're
time
coming
that-
after me.
That happens. I'm just like, my life for yours.
Don't do like I did on Braum though last night. I was so intent on preventing the enemy from CSing that I was at their turret and my cannon minion was going to get hit and last hit by that enemy ADC, and I was low in life, and I said, "Fuck it." I hit W on that thing and hit E and blocked the shot. The cannon minion got killed by the enemies, but then I died. But
oh, yeah, almost worth that 43 gold that you saved.
Exactly.
All right, Toodles, you're up. You guys talked about her rework and possibly trying. Wait, who?
Nidalee.
Oh. Okay.
Wait, who?
I was so confused. So this is about Nidalee. Toodles says, you guys talked about her rework and possibly trying her in the jungle. How is she viable jungle when she has very little CC and is very reliant on the ability on the lane to lock down the enemy champion they're ganking? I know her Cougar form is getting buffed, but who cares?
I mean, if you have high murder potential,
I feel like there's a whole bunch of fundamental things wrong with this question.
That is the same argument of why would you ever play Kha'Zix, because his only CC is a slow, you know? The thing with the potential rework ability with this is that the way Nidalee is now going to be set up, it kind of rewards her for kind of sitting, sneaking, and ambushing people. And that she's going to have vision of them when she traps and can see them for a while. She's going to be able to smack somebody with an ability and then follow them blindly through bushes to pounce and do a bunch of damage. If she can go Cougar at level 1, she's going to have probably some decent clear speed with swipe.
I mean, honestly, that touches on everything. She goes into a gank with 6 abilities. Now, granted, trap is not necessarily like a very practical ganking tool and everything, but everything else she's going to go into a fight with, it has considerable power. And even if you start to get outside of her melee range and everything, which is likely where she's going to be at the start of the gank, you still have to worry about spears flying at you.
And she can heal herself for an attack speed buff.
Yeah, I mean, high murder potential is an asset.
It's like the Fiora factor. You know, it can work, but I do agree with you in the fact that a jungler with some kind of CC who can get in and lock down the enemy for your lane partner to finish off is more effective.
Well, why was Master Yi a good jungler? He doesn't
why
have
is Kha'Zix a good jungler?
Right.
Yeah, you can. I wouldn't necessarily say it's more effective.
Kha'Zix can slow with that the void spikes, and he can jump on top of you.
That's fine, but the jumping on top is just a mobility
Nidalee
thing. He can only do that once every however many seconds if he gets until he gets a reset.
That's mobility in this.
But if you're playing these champions, the only champion out of those, Kha'Zix is outside of this right now because Kha'Zix has better ganking tools than the rest of them, like Master Yi. Shyvana was a good jungler for a while. It comes into the counter jungling ability and being able to duel in the jungle. You don't have to have CC if the rest of your lanes have taken care of that for you. Your whole goal as a Nidalee in the jungle, if it works out like we think it's going to work out, or
to be a nightmare,
is to be a nightmare to the enemy jungler, not to the enemy lanes. You're there to steal his buffs, you're there to steal his farm, you're there to make sure he's staying down and he can't fight back because you have more abilities and more utility than he has in his
It's going to be the same thing with the new Kha'Zix.
And if you visit a lane with her, they're going to be afraid of you. They're not going to be able to fight you 1v1 or
and if they run past the turret, you can still steer them.
You're definitely not going to pick Nidalee if your top laner is Shyvana, Nidalee jungle. If your top laner is Shyvana and your mid laner is Katarina, you have no crowd control going into those situations. Like you are not you're not going to get ganks off. You do need your laners to have crowd control, but there are plenty of laners that also have crowd control.
If you have like a Renekton, as soon as he hits 6, I see you guys diving all day.
That's a different story.
I don't know. I haven't played her yet. Have any of you played her on the PvE?
She's not out yet. She's not available.
She's on the PvE, but yeah.
Okay. No.
Because she's getting tweaked constantly.
Yeah, I want to go and read some of the criticisms and feedback on that, just so I'm better prepared when the patch hits.
So even if she doesn't become a good jungler, we kind of think that she might just kind of look into her kit, but it might be that we have to actually play her to see. You know, you can read it, but if she doesn't actually become a good jungler, you can take everything we said into any of the other offbeat junglers that are out there and apply that same information. You're using this for this certain reason, know what that reason is going in, and then, do that strategy.
If you're picking it and you don't have a reason for it, you're not doing it right.
Use those champion strengths, just abuse it.
But there are definitely times, like, if you have a beefy top laner and a beefy support, like, you probably just need more damage, and you don't really need a tank in the jungle. You're probably better off with somebody that can just super carry. There is nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Pretty
I think
much.
that's good. Is this Kazakh's? Kazakh's writes.
Toodles.
How do you assert regain control over the map when the opposing jungler is in a dominant position and I can't read it, and you are behind? I find it really hard to get people to help me after they have been ganked a couple times.
I like his choice of vocabulary. It's very S&M. How do you assert regain control when the opposing jungler is in a dominant position? You're behind,
Oh God, why do
Kinda
we
hot.
have to have you do this all the time?
I like it. No, I'm on his wavelength here. All right, I got you.
I got it.
Anyway, I find it really hard to get people to help me after they have been ganked a couple times. Let's bring it back around. Okay, so
Well, first of all, you have a safe word. That's how you regain control.
and it never ends.
well done.
And then you take off the ball gag and
You let them
Okay.
breathe for a moment, and then you whip out you have to grab the whip, and you have to make sure that you let them know that you are the dad now. Sorry.
All right, now
Okay.
when Dominic was laning with their dominate tricks that they used, you can get control back.
you worked really hard for that one. You worked way too hard for how underwhelming it was.
I'm sorry,
You know,
Kazakh.
You're right.
Oh, he forced it. He forced it.
I never wanted it forced if we're doing
Right there.
S&M. Please, nice and slow, a little bit of lube. Come on.
I don't even understand this question. I can't even read it right now.
You
It's
can
just
tell
a
this
blur.
is getting
What?
close to the end of the show with just how the
Let's
levels.
answer it. Let's try this
Jungle
again.
Bot now.
Okay.
Jungle is awesome. What can you do?
Chi-Chi JJ.
If they're invading your jungle all the time and your laners can't really help you, the best thing you're going to be able to do is ward and
Complain.
either no, just complain the whole time and don't do a damn thing and yell at your laners for never helping you. Don't do that. Just ward. If try and help counter gank if things are going that shitty. If you aren't going to be able to necessarily do anything, there's some times where you're just going to have to farm to stay above water so that you're not useless when it gets slightly later in the game. But if you know the enemy jungler is going into your jungle and taking your stuff, say he's going down towards your red buff because he has your entire bot jungle ward and he's applying pressure to bot, and there's nothing you can do about it, and your bot just keeps getting dove because they're out of position, you can try and go down there to counter gank. If there's no hope in ever turning around to fight, it might be worthwhile to just group with your mid laner, try to shove down mid, make something up for it.
I mean, so since you brought up bot lane and everything, I think support players do need to listen in on this question, because if the opposing jungler is really asserting his or her authority,
You're the swing man as the support player.
yeah, you need to start warding up at the very least the bottom section of your jungle. You should have 2 wards in there, and yeah, that's helpful to your jungler, but you're not really doing it for him or her. You're doing it because you should be terrified of ganks coming your way, like at all times
And-
from that point. And wards are going to save your life.
And-
That's a good point. If the enemy jungler is scary and beastly and just a huge menace to your team, pick up more wards and ward the hell out of your jungle.
And how many times when the enemy team has complete control over your bottom jungle, does it turn out to be a 4-man gank bot where their mid laner roams down when their jungler does, and they're going to just camp the shit out of the bot
It
lane?
feels like all of them.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
To me, it feels like every time the jungler starts getting ahead, it sure feels like that person's spending a lot of time bot lane.
Yep.
That's a small sample. That's just my experience so far and everything. There's not a vigorous study done yet to support that, but that's certainly been my experience, at least what I recall.
And if that's the case, and your bot lane is just unsalvageable, and they're going to contest dragon, there's nothing that you can do about it. That's the time where you need to be grouping up with your mid or top laner, trying to either make a gank happen and push down a turret. That's the sort of thing where you're trying. If they're beating the hell out of you in the laning phase, again, you're trying to end that laning phase, or at least get the tempo of the game going more in your favor. If you know that they're spending a lot of time in your jungle, go to the other side of the map and counter jungle them.
Buy a damn sweeper.
Yes,
It's
buy a
scary, too.
sweeper. If they have your jungle warded up and you're just sitting in a bush waiting for somebody and you don't have a sweeper, you're not doing it right, because they probably know you're there and they're on their way to kill you.
And supports, do the best you can to flag out enemy wards so that your
Right.
jungler knows going into that. Jungler might not pay attention to it. It's hard to notice those pings and everything when you're worrying about running into an enemy jungler in your own shit, but you got to do everything you can to try and swing it.
And with all of this, if the enemy jungle mid laner, whoever is spending a lot of time trying to keep you down and you're not getting any help from your laners at all, you just have to do everything you can to try and stay a relevant force in the game and not die.
Including taxing.
Right.
They won't help you. Tax time.
Take it back.
I was about to say the same thing. Sometimes you just have to go into that 2v1 and start sharing your experience. Don't sit there for too long. And don't do it when they're pushed back and they're solo farming and they're winning their lane. Just go.
But if it's an opportunity for you to like drive and deny a little of experience to the opponent or to take a turret.
And here's the other thing too: if you do that to mid lane a lot, and it's a borderline at 2v1 in the mid lane, it forces somebody else to come and deal with the fact that you're applying a lot of pressure to the mid lane.
Yeah, that's one of those strong jungler who is already kicking your ass. He's going to show up.
Yep. And you can kind of goad people into doing stuff like that, where you can you can show so that they think you're around mid. The enemy jungler comes there. If you can set something up with your mid laner to play safe, as soon as you leave, you can get him to waste some time while you spend that time that he's wasting trying to catch up.
But
it's steal his wraiths or something like that. It's
worth noting that there are champions who, while being strong duelists, aren't necessarily as well off in a 2v2 situation. They might be kicking your ass as junglers. They might, your opponent might be kicking your ass just because it's a 1v1. But the second it's a 2v2, and there are all these other abilities coming their way, that player or that champion might not be as well equipped to deal with it.
Or he's not going to be able to do nearly as much damage to you if he's on a back pedal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Kazakh's hopefully that answers.
We rebounded. We recovered.
Well, yes, you are bounded. This is S&M after
all.
Rebound. We got back there.
My new safe word is snaggle. My new safe word is snaggle wolf.
Snaggle wolf.
I'm gonna start GG First Blood.
Snaggle wolf. Yeah, GG First Blood.
Hey,
I'm beat.
Okay, guys, I think that ends. I think we pretty much exhausted this podcast, so we're going to move out of lane and kill the Nexus, and we'll be back for next week's podcast on Monday for episode 170 of the Trinity Force podcast. Guys, that'll do it for tonight.
Yep, thanks for listening.
Guys. We will see you all next week.